The damn theme music's playing. Some of the fans are happy. A lot of them are sad.
Wow.
The good guys lost. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. It is never too late to get Chefford. Welcome to a season finale edition of Sorry We Love Football, the only show that actively hates the sport that it covers. I'm your host and Eagles fan, Daniel Hardigan. Yes, I am still licking my wounds over here, you guys. It's been quiet at the Hardigan household. It's been dark. It's been dim. I vanished into the night for a few evenings, but I've reemerged. That's why we're recording on Wednesday. Really had to gather our thoughts. With us, as always, Chiefs fan Danny Solomon, or should I call you TikTok boy?
Why don't you call me fellow champion? Since when your team wins the championship, you too are a champion, and it feels great. I was ready to start recording this bitch the moment that clock struck zero. Me and Cheffers part like good friends. Carl Cheffers and his commitment to Chiefs football.
I mean, it's crazy that you win the title, you win the picks this year. It's just really the spoils all went to Danny this season. And hey, last but not least, we got Washington Commanders fan Jamel Johnson. Jamel, are you the father of Rihanna's second baby?
You know, I didn't want to say it on this show because we don't have a Patreon yet, but the answer is yes.
Well done, man. Bravo.
Appreciate y'all, man. The Super Smash Brothers thing was my idea, all that.
A little negligent, actually, letting her up, 100 feet above the stadium with your child, but...
Do you think her kid is going to be, like, really into heights now because of this?
Or just, like, can't get off without performing in front of, like, 80 million viewers?
Oh, yeah.
118 million viewers.
Oh,
Get it
I'm
right.
sorry. My bad.
Get it right.
More than the game.
Well, hey, let's start there, actually. I didn't know where exactly to start, but Danny, halftime happens. The Rihanna performance, the Chiefs are down 10. Take us back to your mindset. I know they've overcome these deficits before, including their other Super Bowl victory, came back from 10. So, I know the Mahomes injury was looming. So I'm just, where were you at during that halftime?
Yeah, I mean, when Mahomes got hurt, that was the last time that I said what I so often say while watching a game, which is it's over. Which is pretty good for me to have an entire second half where I never claimed that it was over. Once he came back out on that field, from that point on, it was not over. And I felt like at halftime, it was a good long opportunity to regroup. A lot of the stories before the game were about how Andy Reid's been here before, and he knows that the halftime is super long and that the breaks are really long because of the TV shit. And he kind of knew how to navigate that. And I felt like, all right, we're getting the ball back. It ain't over. We're just down 10. I even texted it to you. That's squarely in the Mahomes greatness zone. And so I felt like maybe it was positive.
Well,
he just got his ass back out there.
The first thing you text us was that the results of the game are now illegitimate.
When he got hurt, it would have
it was
been.
January 6th.
No, no. Look, we had a running text throughout the game, which borderlined on intense at times, but it was generally very friendly. Which I feel like this Chiefs-Eagles rivalry has been in the lead up to the game and in the post game. Really, the players in the post game have been more at odds with each other. I can't see the fan bases really shitting on each other or getting upset with each other. It's been some diva receiver talk. No, yeah. I haven't seen many of. It's either everybody's mad at the refs or Jonathan Gannon from an Eagles perspective. Nobody's mad at the Chiefs.
Well, and this is largely due to the Chiefs fan base being pretty nice. Midwest nice. They weren't the type to rub it in, and so it doesn't give Philly fans enough to get mad about. That said, JuJu kind of ruined the vibe for everybody. I'm not a fan. I just want to go on record to the Eagles fans who might be listening. I am not into the JuJu tweet. I did send it, but more for, news gathering purposes.
Sure. We're journalists. We have to see these things.
We are journalists.
But I don't like that. James Bradbury was a consummate professional. He admitted that there was a hold on that play. America all knew it once we saw the extended replay, not the replay we were fed right away.
We knew he got
look like
we knew he held him, but we didn't know it was supposed to be a flag. He gave him a
Who-
little baby tug.
Who knew penalties could get flags? Who knew that's what would they should overturn the 2018 results against Brady then. D Ford, maybe he was offsides, maybe he wasn't. Why call that at that point in the game? Come on.
I do want to let me address that penalty real quick because I don't want to make the whole show about that, but I have a couple takes on it. The first one is, to me, it's like pulling somebody over for going 55 and a 50, where it's just, but you just watched 30 people go 80 in the 50, and you just decided to pull the last guy over for going 55. So we talk a lot about like situational awareness in football for the players, but there's got to be some situational like refereeing where, and especially with the game was so non-flag happy, which I think the fans prefer. It was kind of a let them play game. And yes, there were missed calls even before that call. We had JuJu being tugged on earlier at the end of the first half, and we got on that. There were a lot of challenges. So like the referees weren't really a factor in the game until that moment. So it was extremely frustrating. I don't think any impartial fan, aside from a Chiefs fan, was satisfied with that ending. That's kind of my take on it. That's not the reason we lost. The Chiefs bulldozed us in the second half. That's what happened. So
I mean, that was the Eagles' issue all year. The challenge was insane, though. When the Eagles went fast enough to get a challenge erased from the board, and the refs decided that they went too fast and they didn't allow the Chiefs to make a substitution. I didn't know that they had to consider the Chiefs in their plan.
There's a new one.
That was a
for sure.
brand new one for me.
They didn't want a stupid thing to change the game, and then they did it later on. But it was a real penalty. This other thing was something we didn't really know anything about, that it was possible in a game. Sometimes you've been watching football 30 plus years and you see something new. It happens. It's all in the rule book. Nobody reads the fucking rule book. It's like 800 pages long.
I never have, and I had never seen that one. The ref said, "Hold on, you're going too fast."
But the Bradbury call at the end of the game, again, to the law itself as it's written, that was a penalty, as Bradbury admitted, and I'm glad that he did. I thought the Eagles all handled themselves professionally and dignified, unlike the Niners team the last couple weeks.
So. Yes.
Just unbelievable amounts of crying and whining and pouting from that team.
Well,
not
and
the
it
fans, just the players themselves very much annoyed me.
And it wasn't a bad flag in that case either. It was just like, we have a bunch of shitty quarterbacks and nobody can stop themselves from getting hurt.
Yeah, when you get beat by 20 plus, I don't think you can point to one thing. But
you know what I just realized? What if the refs fixed it at the end of the game because Kanye bought ad time for overtime? Like, what if the game,
Can he do that?
like, they were like, wait, we can't, there's Kanye ads coming. We got to end this right now.
I thought that's what those He Gets Us Jesus commercials were.
Pretty close. Pretty fucking close.
Yeah, Kanye is very much in that world right now. But the brutal part of that it really was worst case scenario. Them scoring there is actually better than the flag. And then McKinnon, I think the next play makes the smart move of doing the Westbrook out of the Andy Reid coaching tree, brilliantly goes down on the one. He can score the Super Bowl winning touchdown. He could tell his kids about that for the rest of his life, but he goes down. I thought that was a very underrated play. A lot of players just go in there.
Yeah,
We've seen it.
He wanted to win the Super Bowl. And look, I think let's get into what we hated about this game, because I don't want to eat some of the meat that's left on my bone.
Okay. There are some meats.
My last thing on that, Patrick Mahomes' wild antics, begging for a flag on the play, very much annoyed me. I thought, Pat, you don't need to beg for the flag there, but
he's
okay.
He's ascended to that God tier of quarterbacks who can get their way, and you just, play better out there, folks. Play better, Sam Howell.
Let's get into it. Danny, we always say this because your team's so good, but what could you have possibly hated about watching the Super Bowl?
I mean, this one was a layup for me. What I hated was hurting Dan, was hurting you. That's what I hated. I didn't
It
like
hurts. It really does hurt.
It sucks to know that my joy was pure misery for someone I care about. Every gritty Pacheco run, every time Kelsey was still somehow wide open, that almost sexual Tony return, doing the carousel again to set up a second whip route TD.
I don't know if that didn't set up anything. Continue.
I think
look at the tape. Watch the tape.
that play was an incompletion. Then the next play was a touchdown, right?
Because they set up the sweep action. It's all there.
All right,
Watch the tape. Grind it up.
Okay.
It was all a little painful knowing that Dan was having the exact opposite emotion somewhere in Riverside. And we're very similar as fans. We're very involved in the game. We're very self-hating. So I know what it must have felt like. It must have been torture. And then the call at the end, like, look, yes, this game was not exactly the way I wanted it. And actually, we're going to get there later. We're going to talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it was a bad way to end. I fully acknowledge that. Nobody wants the 5-minute clock drainer to end such a classic Super Bowl. But, you know, in so many great action movies, there's a point where the hero is getting his or her or their ass kicked by the main bad guy, or even just like some giant henchman, and it looks like they're just being outclassed in the fight. But then they miraculously find like a shard of glass, or they pull some gun tape to the back shit to win, and that's just what heroes do. They take the W that fate hands them. You know you do the same. You know it. What, you want us to decline the penalty so that your guy can get a chance to go down there and score? All he needed was a field goal. Fuck that. We're the Super Bowl champs. No thanks am I going to let you guys try some shit to get your gun behind your back. So as much as this hurts you, Dan, I got to say, how about those Chiefs, huh? Oh, Dynasty. Man. Drake was right, baby.
Oh, God, I forgot about Drake being right. That that burns a little bit.
Now, and Dan, this was specifically to you. As for the rest of the Eagles Nation, I feel nothing. You got the glove slap you've always deserved all season long.
You know what? You were actually in that moment acknowledged too, like, this is kind of shitty. We all felt that. But look, dude, of course, if the roles were reversed, I would have loved the flag. I would have loved taking those knees and making the field goal. Anything to win. It's so hard to get there. As you know, you have to wait years to even be in that position. And that's part of the pain, is that Eagles defense could not buy a stop in the whole second half. And you think you get one. That was the pain of that flag. It probably wasn't just the flag itself or the penalty. It's that we thought we finally stopped them, which we could not do all half. You finally get the stop, and nope, it's not a stop.
And look,
that's double pain.
Hurts was a freight train. We weren't going to be able to stop that 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and fucking 4 play that you guys will do. Just gets you the first down automatically. You've been touting it all year. I didn't want to put any drops of fate into, this is going to be a mixed metaphor. I'll just reverse.
Drops of Jupiter?
I don't know drops of Jupiter into her hair on this one. And her being the Eagles, I did not want you guys to score. I didn't care how it didn't happen. They could have cut to a shot of Goodell and my mom fucking over a pentagram, and I would have been like, if this is helping us win the game, so be it.
That's what conservatives thought happened at the Grammys, the way that they reacted to that Sam Smith performance, by the way.
You know what I'll say on a side note? I feel like another reason the NFL had to fix this game was because it was too good of a game for the amount of people watching the game who do not appreciate football. Like all of the, I'm only here for the commercials. I'm only here for Rihanna. They didn't deserve a perfect game. They needed, and then everybody left like, oh man, I wish the game was different. That's because you do like football, bitch. That's because you do like football. You've been acting like you didn't like football this whole night, and the refs blew the game, and now you're mad because you love football, bitch.
Wow, I like that you're calling these casual viewers a bitch.
I don't know why I'm doing that. It felt like.
You're right, though. There's a bitch at every Super Bowl party.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody was just like, oh,
I
Oh,
can see the bitch
they're
in you.
still playing. They're still playing the game. You still eating snacks, right?
Yeah. This is why I made the fucking cheese dip, so you'd shut the fuck up.
I don't know where to take this. There's so much to say. I will just go to Jamel. What did you hate? I'm sure you will take us on the right path.
I mean, I just hate that the Chiefs became villains before my eyes.
It
This
is
is how
happening.
this is how villains are made. This is what it, to become a villain in sports. One, you have to just never lose. Check. Two, have some people who are assholes on the team. Check.
Well,
Have the refs pull
JuJu,
some
yeah.
shit out of their ass on behalf of your victory. Check, 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 check. And this is like, if you thought you hated the Patriots, you were gonna hate what the Chiefs become. Because even like when the Patriots were in the middle of winning everything and the refs inventing rules for them to win, it was still New England, and people hated the area of New England, and there was enough of America who wanted to see Tom Brady lose. Nobody's gonna want to see the Chiefs lose, actually, but they're still villain. It's like when somebody uses Amazon Prime, but then they're like, "I know Jeff Bezos is bad, but hey, I can't stop him now. Hey, I need them pills." That's what the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are the Amazon Prime of football teams to support because one, none of the people, nobody from Kansas City. It's going to be so many new Chiefs jerseys from people from San Diego,
finally.
shit like this,
It's a desert out here.
and it's all on the way. And like Mahomes is like, if you hated Tom Brady, man, you're gonna. What's happening next is gonna be even more. He's like if Brett Favre was as accurate as Drew Brees, but also got all of the bullshit Republican referee calls as Tom Brady.
He came out for BLM right away, Patrick
I,
Mahomes.
hey, look, black people can be villains too. Let me introduce you to Clarence Thomas.
He is not clear. That is unfair.
I'm just saying black people can be villains too.
But
I
Danny,
mean, he is married to a white woman, so I'll give you that.
this is something, and we've talked about this before, that you're going to have to reckon with, is being the superpower, and eventually that's not fun for everybody else anymore. I mean, low key, the Chiefs have ran the AFC since Andy Reid got there, except for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were still around. Brady left. We see that it's not Belichick who had that magic. We saw Brady and Mahomes do a Super
Literally,
Bowl
Tom
together.
Brady, blood
That
magic.
was
Literally,
Brady's last like little dying breath of greatness. But truly, the Chiefs have kind of ran shit for a while now, and now they're at the height of their powers. I don't see them getting worse. I mean, obviously, breaks can go one way or another. They played a lot of close games in the playoffs, but it's a superpower, and that's what comes with being one of. Are you in the axis of evil, or are you a freedom fighter? Like Danny, this is World War II now.
brother, this isn't even. If you thought this wasn't even the worst call that's going to come in the Chiefs regime, there's going to be a play somewhere down the line in this Chiefs reign of excellence. The guy's got 10 years left.
Oh, more
What?
than
More
I
than
mean,
that.
on
Give
the
or take.
contract, there's 10.
There's
Yeah.
10 years on the contract. There is going to be a call. Somebody, like, it's going to be an AFC championship game, and the Bengals are going to be like driving for the win, and Jamar Chase is going to catch a ball in the middle of the field, and the refs are going to stop the play and tell him to do it again. No flag. They're just going to say, hey, actually, my camera wasn't on. Can you just do that again?
Well, I guess the only hope for somebody who isn't a Chiefs fan is Andy Reid's getting old. Travis Kelce, Mahomes' favorite target, not young.
What
That
if
one
he
is
goes
scary.
vegan?
That one
What if he
scares me.
goes vegan? If he goes vegan, he'll go another 20 years.
He should.
One season of vegan Andy Reid. That's
Andy,
all
like
it'll take.
Tony Gonzalez, and
he's already flirting with retirement, though. And it's just like this version of the Chiefs offense is so frustrating to play against because you have the genius coach, the GOAT quarterback, and I think he's getting there. His resume is not there yet. And Travis Kelce, who's one of the best tight ends of all time. To me, I was thinking about what it felt like to play against the Chiefs and lose that game. It was like playing a guy in Mortal Kombat who beats you only using low punch. He doesn't use a projectile. He doesn't even jump. He doesn't run around. It's just one low punch. And he's not button mashing. He's just fucking good at
Perfectly
it.
timed. Yeah, just perfectly timed.
And like, there's nothing you can do.
You're saying the Mahomes Chiefs machine of an offense is not fun to watch? Of course it is. We all
it's better than the Brady one.
It's so much more fun because it's a black guy involved.
We're scoring
it's not
38
because
points.
It's a black guy involved. It's just
because it's way more black guys involved.
We're scoring
better. It's a black guy calling the plays. It's a black guy throwing the ball.
We're scoring 38 points in a Super Bowl, having a fun, awesome shootout. Granted, bad ending. We're not playing 13-3 bullshit snail fuck games.
That's true.
Like Tom Brady did his entire career. And Tom Brady wasn't ever amazing. He was just good at being a quarterback, and he always had a great defense with him. And when he didn't, he had Randy Moss.
And when they were
didn't have that, he had the referees.
It was.
I was going to say when they were the world, when the Pats were the world superpower, they got all the calls at that time too. It started with a bad call with the fucking the tuck rule. So that's what happens when you're good. You get calls in your favor. I don't even blame the Chiefs for this. Getting crazy good calls in big games is because you're in the big game all the time. That's what happens.
I mean, get those fingies off the jersey, but yeah.
Oh my Lord. What's going to happen when they just give Eric Bieniemy the job and they don't miss a beat?
He's flirting with some other teams right now. I know this happens every offseason, and he probably will not get a job.
Not other teams, Dan, the Commanders. That's his only interview left, is the Commanders' offensive coordinator.
That's the job?
Yeah.
Wanna ruin this guy's life?
I mean,
he should walk in there and smack the shit out of somebody for offering him that job.
He should not take it. But if he does, I'm interested to see, what the division of labor really is. I do think that Eric Bieniemy came up with this game plan, and that alone should be a coaching hire right there. Just get you fast-tracked to the top of the list for any fucking job that was left, and then they hire the two losers. That is the most racism that's been done to Eric Bieniemy yet.
Bro, we haven't even gotten into the part where Mahomes went into the locker room at halftime and got shot up with Bane venom.
Something like that.
That was venom in him. Like that was venom in him, Danny.
Every locker room has the Bane venom. Everyone has it. You decide if you want to use it. That's part of game planning.
That's fair. What I hate about the Super Bowl, and there are so many things. There are really so many options here because...
Oh, you didn't have fun?
I did. I actually did have fun, and I am going to get to that actually in this hate. But a couple quick ones. Obviously, the refs, we kind of covered that. I'm starting to see some Chiefs persecution fantasies of the haters said we wouldn't even have a winning record. We wouldn't sniff the playoffs without Tyreek Hill. I'm like, and I know you have to motivate yourself. I get it. But is Mahomes the greatest thing walking on earth or not? Because if he is, no one thinks you're a bad team. Okay. You can't have both. What the hell? But that's not what I want to stay on. Really, what I hate about that Super Bowl and just in general is that the season is over. I thought this was a great season. It was historic that Danny and I got this matchup at all. The buildup was awesome. We got that perfect day in New Orleans on Championship Sunday. And technically the best Eagles season ever. I mean, records-wise, in terms of wins and a bunch of other stuff.
And good signs for the future.
Great signs for the future. So I was thinking about the league-wide storylines. DeMar Hamlin, that was terrifying. Brady retired. That's a huge story we've barely talked about. Russell Wilson being all-time hilarious all season.
And
Mahomes
winning. Sean Payton now.
Yeah, Sean Payton's back. You could argue the story of the season was Mahomes winning MVP and Super Bowl MVP, but that's chalk. That's what we expect from him. I will always remember this season as the Hurts ascension, the Jalen Hurts ascension. Nobody fucking expected this. That is the most surprising thing that happened in football this year.
Besides the guy dying on the field.
Except for the guy dying, yeah. This was...
That's not surprising.
The Lions winning in Lambeau was also surprising. I mean, in terms of the history of football, the Lions winning in Green Bay, it happens, once every fucking eclipse once every lunar eclipse.
It's the Jalen Hurts story. I just took to it. My issue with it, not even getting ahead of myself, is I don't think he can sustain the intensity he brought into this season, like throughout his career. I mean, he's like was the Dawkins of the team, bringing up the team, giving these impassioned speeches before the game. And I don't think that's what the quarterback necessarily should be every year. And he's putting his body on the line, especially in the Super Bowl, but it's the last game. So you do that. But he's got this thing where he gets benched in the national championship game. He gets drafted behind another guy. In the Super Bowl, he plays one of the best games any quarterback's ever played in a Super Bowl, but he makes the glaring killer mistake. And that's just his story. But he responded to it unbelievably. And as Danny said, terrified if this guy even got the ball back. Like, think about what we're talking about. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. How are these guys even in the same fucking sentence?
No,
And
he's
he
a
was
big hit.
he
He did
went
go to
toe-to-toe
Alabama.
with
I
him.
mean,
Yeah, that's
He
true.
went toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That is not a made up thing. It happened. I watched it.
He played championship games at least. Yeah, you're right, Jamel. He's had that experience. It's kind of a helpful thing. He was in front of, 120,000 Hicks in some Hicks stadium.
But I don't know. Did you see after the game, he gathered the entire team in the locker room and apologized for fumbling? Like, he just has this thing where he can't be happy. And like that, I wanted to see them win just to see him exhale. Because now he's still bubbling and bursting with
well,
like, I have to
you know
work
what?
harder next season. Like,
Him doing that he's already thinking about next season. Because if
I
he didn't
know.
apologize, everybody who was still on the team at the beginning of next year is gonna be like, man, can you imagine if he didn't fumble?
It was a brutal play
Yeah.
for sure. But he obviously he came back and couldn't have played better after the play. We saw Mahomes do the same thing in the AFC Championship game. He just dropped the ball. It happens to great players. Unfortunately for ours, the Chiefs scooped and scored it, and it's 7 the other way. But this is the season that I'll always just remember Hurts. Like, it was so special and unexpected. Like, I always liked him, but I was like, I didn't expect him to be battling Patrick Mahomes. And Travis Kelce had a quote saying he could have been MVP even in the loss. That's how well he played. Like, we might have our quarterback for the future. I mean, I think we do. I'm just dumbfounded, but I don't even know how to process what I watched with that Jalen Hurts game.
Did you think he was going to make it? Did you think he was going to make it through this season? Be honest. Did you think he was going to end this season with
as the starter,
fan base, and the confidence?
It was a complete coin toss. I liked him. I like what he brought to the table. He always said I always said his intangibles are immaculate. Can he throw a football? That was always my thing on him.
He was, he actually was a playoff quarterback last season. He had enough to get there. He just needed to take a step. But you got a second round pick to be this kind of quarterback. Those guys never hit. Those are like Hackenberg type guys.
Yeah. And look, he's got great receivers. He's got a great tight end, awesome O-line. So the team around him is put together for him to succeed. But God damn, did that guy play well. I just have to note that. I love Jalen Hurts. That's like, I'll never forget that game. It's like one of the most memorable performances in a loss for an Eagle I'll ever do. So, okay. Enough of my gushing about the losing quarterback here.
In the we hated segment. By the way, somehow, man,
I hate that he didn't get to be happy. That's what I hated.
Sure.
I wanted that moment at the podium where he got to just smile and be like, "Damn, I did it." Because that's not his person. He shows us nothing. He's cyborg.
Would he even drink a beer? I mean,
yes.
At least Mahomes is up there, pounding Coors Light, visibly drunk. There's actually a great clip of Mahomes coming out of a porta potty where just the fans were using it. They were all surrounding him, and they gave him a standing ovation for coming out of the porta potty. What's funny is that, like, when your quarterback wins, I was thinking about this just watching the parades. When your quarterback wins, they really can just walk around any part of the city and do whatever they want. No one will ever commit a crime on Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't need bodyguards or anything. The entire city is protection for Patrick Mahomes now. They will not let anything happen. Like, imagine trying to rob Patrick Mahomes somehow. Anyway.
Anyhow, let's get into our game this week. A lot of people make jokes this postseason, especially about the NFL script, and the script leaked, and all of this was written and predetermined. It's such a dumb joke that everybody has caught on to. I kind of hate it, but it's a thing. It's out there. It's in the zeitgeist. I'm sorry for even saying that, but Danny, you introduced this game. If you could rewrite the script for this Super Bowl, I don't know why you would, but if you could rewrite the script, what would you do?
Yeah, I think, if we got into that writer's room and we, either we broke in or we legitimately got the job and we thought, here's something I would change. Look, I know how much it must hurt to lose such a close game like that on one totally correct call. So how I would rewrite the script is I would have it so that the refs call the first holding on JuJu. So that way it's more balanced, right? Then we score another touchdown on that drive, obviously. So the first half is more like 24-21, let's say generously. Then, because the refs feel a little less worried about seeming unfair, they make the correct call on the Miles Sanders fumble that Nick Bolton ran in for another touchdown that they overturned on review because he didn't have enough time to He made a football move. He turned towards the guy. Should have been a touchdown. So we get that one. It's 28-24 in the second half. All momentum for the Eagles is gone. Chiefs then unleash the hell they were always planning on unleashing, and we win the thing in a rout, 42-24. Everybody's happy.
Why do we stop scoring?
This is the villain. This is the villain talk that I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. That was villainous what he just said.
I've been doing this all year, to be honest. I mean, it's a character.
Yeah, that's true.
To be completely honest, and I hate to even admit this, that was really close. I easily could have been called a fumble on Miles Sanders. That is probably the last game Miles Sanders ever plays as an Eagle, and I won't be sad if he goes because he played terribly. He really did.
I mean, the whole running game too wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, but that's because Jalen Hurts put the team on his back, and you got
his running game was scary.
So
he was good,
and AJ Brown was great, and Devontae Smith was great. I mean, that's how you build your team now.
Quez Watkins, you got to go. You dropped a huge pass that would have easily led to a touchdown drive in his hands. Ugh, tough. Anyhow, so your rewrite is a fucking bigger win?
Yeah, well, I mean, you asked me what would I do. Of course, I got to do something just to make it a little bit easier for you, honestly, to deal with. If it was a route, maybe you'd feel a little less cheated.
Man. I didn't feel cheated. I did throw my hat as hard as I could at my parents' wall when the flag came out. And I was afraid I chipped it or dented it. So I immediately started apologizing to everybody and then got mad again once I realized the wall was intact.
But who else had thrown a hat at that point? I mean, there's got to be a couple of hat throwers in the Super Bowl party of Dan Hardy.
My dad was wearing a sombrero and a poncho. He changed in the third quarter at some point to try and mix up the JuJu, and he wound up destroying his sombrero by kicking through it.
Yeah, I mean, that game, I'm going to coin this right now, bad JuJu. That call, you got some real bad JuJu on that. And that maybe you need to look into the things that you were wearing or the things you were doing or eating at the time, because I've handled my superstitious shit perfectly. And actually at the half, I put this very hat back on the TV, and I decided I was going to go sans hat, and it worked.
We let loose a little bit at halftime. We were in the back. We took a tequila shot. We're all posing with twos up, as in our second Super Bowl. So
send me those pics.
We were feeling ourselves a little bit at halftime.
Disgusting.
I know. Look, we let our guard down. I got to say, I didn't feel comfortable we have this in the bag, but I was having a good time. I'll tell you that. I thought that the game was going well and that it would continue to go well. Jamel, how would you rewrite the script for Super Bowl 57?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't change too much. I'd probably push the Caddyshack ad back. to after halftime. And then as far as the game goes, Jalen never fumbles, but the Chiefs score after a punt. So the result stays the same to that point. Then we get to the end of the game. There is no holding call, but Mahomes throws the touchdown. He actually throws a better ball.
Yeah, it wasn't a great ball.
Because it was not a great ball. He
He
throws a
could have
better
gotten
ball.
there for that
He
hold.
throws a better ball. JuJu catches it and then runs into Carl Treffers, thus killing him. He dies due to internal bleeding or whatever. We find that out like after the game or so. They might actually no. We find it out instantaneously. They put the results on the jumbotron. Guys, Carl Treffers dead, but the Eagles are getting the ball back with some time left. They come down, tie it up. We go to overtime. We see the Kanye ad. It's actually him saying he wishes everybody a happy Passover.
Mm.
And he's like, I know it's a little early for Passover, but it's right around the corner.
It is.
Don't forget to say hi to your parents and your grandparents. Passover's coming up. Big shalom to all my people. That's the first ad in the middle of overtime. No score for 2 possessions. Yeah, and then the Chiefs win it anyway.
All right. That's what we all
The Chiefs
wanted.
were winning this game. As I've stated before, they have God and Roger Goodell and every referee and every football fan who either hates the team that's in their city they're from or don't have a team in their city have all that energy just giving the Chiefs a spirit bomb. And they probably still win on a field goal.
Now, just to backtrack a little bit, do you think the NFL would be as invested if a ref died on the field?
I'm going to say no. They're pulling his ass out like it's Disneyland. He did not die at this game. He actually died in the parking lot of Jack in the Box.
Man, I never even considered that possibility. I've always kind of worried that a guy's going to get seriously injured on the field, but I always think it's a player who that's going to happen to. But a ref is certainly a
human being.
possibility.
A human being.
Yeah, I
Carl
guess they're a
Jeffers.
human being.
Carl Jeffers kneeled over. The last photo of him alive we see is him with his hands on his knees and the yellow flag in his hand. He was thinking about throwing it.
He wasn't the one that
Chiefs
threw it.
And I'm
The
just
slide
saying,
judge threw it.
in my rewrite, he's thinking about throwing the flag, but the Chiefs score anyway, and then he gets ran over and he dies.
Hey, we're all against Carl Jeffers here.
We are. So in my rewrite, also involves a death, but let me go backwards for a moment. We all went and saw 80 for Brady.
Yeah, hell
we
yeah.
saw 80 for Brady in theaters, had a great time. Actually, surprisingly entertaining,
Very
easy watch,
fun.
some fun jokes, some insane Tom Brady acting.
More haunting than the whale, I think. Tom Brady's performance.
There's a sequence in 80 for Brady where the 80-year-old women who are huge Patriots fans are, I guess, just Tom Brady fans, as we find out at the end of the movie. They sneak into the Patriots coaching booth and they influence the game. So, like, they basically tell the coaches what to do, and that's why the Patriots wind up coming back and winning the game against the Falcons in that Super Bowl. So, in my rewrite, same sort of thing happens. There's 4 Eagles fans who are 4 Eagles 80-year-old ladies.
4 Wegmans Karens.
Yeah, exactly. They go into the Eagles coaching box and they assassinate Jonathan Gannon at halftime. No questions asked. It's just knife to throat.
Ooh.
Dispose of the body.
Honor killing.
Oh, yeah. They get on the headset. They know this team better than anybody. They start mixing it up. You can't just sit back and let this team pick you apart. The Eagles just make one play. I'm not even saying everything's different. We only needed one fucking play. A turnover, a stop, anything. We get it. I think another Brandon Graham sack. And the Eagles wind up winning the game. And nobody knows about this. It comes out weeks afterwards that Jonathan Gannon is actually dead. The Cardinals have still hired him in this scenario, but they just don't know he's deceased.
I mean, it's the same thing. He's going to the Cardinals. He's basically
I cannot believe the Cardinals. Can you, if you're a team and you hire a new coach, and the fan base of the team that coach just came from is all like, thank God, take this guy. We hate him. That's how we all feel about Jonathan Gannon. We've hated him all season. He was so lucky we set all these records and had such a great pass rush and all of this stuff, but my goodness. So yeah, the Eagles win in my rewrite, and it's great. Everything's good.
That's fun.
Any 80 for Brady thoughts?
I mean, it's worth seeing. It's worth seeing in the theater. It's worth going with a group. It honestly is that kind of movie. I feel like, our time was excellent. We had some snacks. People were talking to the theater, or saying stuff to the screen. It was like that kind of vibe.
It was pretty live for a movie about 4 80-year-old women. It was a pretty lit up audience.
Good lines, not as much Gronk as you'd think. I feel very cheated on Gronk, but you more than make up for it in Brady. He looks like he's an AI, some kind of a deep fake in the movie. And Guy Fieri has a cameo. I mean, yeah.
The honorable mention to Colonel Taylor from A Different World, the math teacher.
Yes. I mean, he was a very hot, romance going on with Rita Moreno, was it?
Yeah. What is Rita Moreno from? What was she in?
She was in West Side Story, The Ridge.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Also more like sexually charged jokes that I expected. A drug trip out scenario. An F-bomb got thrown. Brady got to say, "Let's fucking go."
He did.
So I thought that the movie was going to be much more mild than it wound up being. So I was a bit surprised by some of the content. I was pleasantly surprised. But
and also like a very not hacky approach to the people doing drugs without their consent, line of bits in films. It's very even keeled and fun.
You got to think for women who were in their prime in the 70s. They know a lot about just getting some drugs handed to them on accident.
Yeah, I mean I think we're past the time when you can do a drug trip scene where everyone's like, whoa, like people are microdosing DMT most of the time now. It's like, this shit is over.
Yeah. Shouts out to Sally Field, who is still kind of hot.
Yeah. And as she reminds you constantly in the movie, she's not 80. She's younger than the rest of these girls.
Hey, Jane Fonda was over 80, and I was fine with that too.
Yeah.
Hit Jane Fonda no wig?
Yeah, that was all right.
He said yes, folks. He
keep your wig,
said yes, folks.
I mean, if you like wigs, just keep it on.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I think one of the most underrated characters in this movie is Sally Fields' husband. Just this sad sack writer dick that eventually gets told, like, make your own fucking decision. And he's like, okay. I will.
There are fun runners in the movie. I mean, the Jane Fonda's book, there are sexy fan fiction about Gronk and how everybody reads it. It's very funny in a lot of ways. I mean,
have a couple beers, go see it. For sure.
Yeah.
Go to a theater that sells beers, actually. Bring a beer into the theater.
Or pregame it. Treat it like a tailgate. It's fine. Either way. All right, let's move into this week's mailbag. Every week, and this is going to be our last week for a while, I will say that. We're going to take a small break. Guys, we started, in August? I think the first week of August, we started covering the 2022-23 NFL season. So we have really touched every corner of this league throughout the season, and I'm proud of that. But let's dive into this mailbag one final time this season. Jamel Johnson, do you got a piece of mail?
Yeah, I do have a letter. I got a letter. My letter today comes from Tahoma 31. The grass they used during the game. Hey, what's up, guys? Big fan of the show. Yeah, it's me, Tahoma 31. I'm sure you thought I'd be in hiding by now. For those who don't know, I was the grass at the Super Bowl, and People are saying it was one of the worst fields that a professional game has ever been played on. And what I want to say about that is just fuck, man. I'm so sorry, everybody. The truth is, I lied on my application to be the field for the Super Bowl. I told them that I was the field at Princeton. It's
Oh
actually a
man.
lie. I was the field at Bishop Sycamore.
Oh,
I just didn't want to live in my mom's lawn anymore. I wanted to be my own lawn. And I thought just one little fit. People lie on job applications all the time. They turn around and say, "Hey, Tahoma 31, you get to do the Super Bowl. Are you free?" What am I supposed to do? Say no? I was the same field for the Pro Bowl games. Nobody said shit. Anyways, long story short is I regret doing that, and I should have stayed in Job Corps. I'm sorry for ruining everybody's Super Bowl. I guess I'll go home now. Sincerely yours, Tahoma 31.
I wish I could ask this grass a question. Just why were you so slippery? What the hell was the deal with that? Like, I get that the grass wasn't great and it was new and nobody had ever played on it. How is grass slippery? They're wearing cleats. It's not turf. How does this happen? Crazy.
That's the other thing. This is the rest. There's actually more of the letter. Hold on. In case anyone is wondering why I was so slippery, I also lied about my name. I'm actually Tahoma 13, and I've just got oily skin. But I'm grass. Nobody knew. I didn't think anybody would find out my age. This did not go down like Tom Hanks and Big. I'll tell you that much.
It actually was just, I mean, we under discussed it. We actually went right over this talking point. I feel like it was obvious that the field was the reason why your pass rush couldn't get anything going, that we got 0 sacks. We have a good offensive line who were where they needed to be on these plays, but anything that was going like 50-50 in the trenches, if it's two really badass, lines going after each other, the sod is going to benefit the offensive line in that case.
Definitely. And, I didn't want to cry foul over it because both teams have to play on the same field, obviously. And neither team registered a sack. I mean, the Chiefs did, but it was because Hurts ran out of bounds like 1 yard short on a scramble. Yeah. Wasn't really a QB hit in the backfield. So both teams kind of got fucked on this same issue. And yeah, so it does bother me a little bit watching like the Chiefs O linemen wearing these shirts that are like 0 sacks and kind of rubbing it in our faces. It's like, yes, it's true, but Mahomes is a fucking wizard in the pocket, as we discussed. And our guys who their whole thing is this edge rush slipped. You could go watch all the clips on Twitter. People have broken them down. The Eagles faithful is definitely bitching about the grass. But
now, can I add to the growing, Philly QAnon contingent that's happening? Do you think that it's possible that this sod was particularly slippery because the NFL didn't want a defensive game?
That's interesting. I thought you were going to go with like they wanted the Chiefs to win, because I don't believe that.
I wouldn't say that. You don't know who's going to win in a shootout, which it was.
Right. That's interesting. I didn't consider that. The NFL definitely doesn't want that Rams Patriots Super Bowl that you said, the 13-3 game. Mm-hmm. So anything but that. And if this means more scoring, I think they're happy. So that's dastardly, though.
You'd never put it
down. That's some sinister shit.
You'd never put it past Roger Goodell to do something purely evil in the minds.
What was with the Goodell Chris Jones hug?
I think Chris Jones said he's my guy afterwards. I don't know what the extent of their friendship is, but maybe Chris Jones is trying to here's what I think. He's trying to behind the scenes to kind of get on some of that, union rep, players association head kind of thing after his career.
I like that.
He's a smart dude.
He wants to be Troy Vincent.
Yeah. Smart dude, seems really into the game. Great move. He's an ambassador. He doesn't seem to say the wrong things in public situations. Maybe he and Roger Goodell have gotten some dinners together. I don't know.
It seemed like it.
He didn't get
that
a
was
sack.
more.
He didn't get a
No,
fucking
I
shit.
know. I'm saying that was more than like a congratulations. You're the Super Bowl champion. It was my fucking guy.
It was a fanboy thing. I think Goodell
Yeah.
is a figurehead. He got installed in this job for God knows what reasons by people who are thousands of times more powerful than him. And so he's just kind of a fan sitting in the best seat in the house.
Yeah. Okay. I got a piece of mail here. Let me see. Okay, it's a package. Let me open this up. It's a tape recording from the future. Let me just push play here. It looks like it's a speech. Okay, I'm just going to push play. And the Academy Award for Best Actor goes to Patrick Mahomes' ankle. Come on up, Pat Mahomes' ankle. Here he comes. Yeah.
Why would this part be in the speech?
Wow, what a rush. I did not expect this. They said, write a speech, and I didn't because I didn't think this would happen. And I know that's going to get me in trouble with Coach Reed, but oh my God, there's so many people to thank. Where do I start? Look, this was definitely my greatest performance. So thank you all for believing in me. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank Roger Goodell. I want to thank the grass that you guys were all talking about. You really gave it everything. And I've had somewhat of an unorthodox career, so what I want more than anything is all of your respect. And I know that first Super Bowl didn't really earn it all, but this time I feel it. And I can't deny the fact that you like me. Right now, you like me. You really like me. As an openly queer woman of color, may this remind you all that no matter where you're from, your dreams are valid. Jobless. Signed, Patrick Mahomes' ankle.
All right. Now, can I ask, is this saying that Patrick Mahomes' ankle was the performance of the game, meaning he performed so well on it? Or are we
I don't
saying
know.
that the whole thing was a performance that his ankle didn't really hurt that much? Because I've heard some peeing on people talk about that shit too.
All we know is it captivated the nation, dog. I don't know what's true beyond that.
Wait, all right.
Yeah, hey.
What's better, peeing on or eeing on for Eagles? You hear that E?
Oh, what's the P? Is that the Patrick?
It's
Like
Philly.
Patrick
See,
and
we don't know. All right,
Philly
so
and on.
it's peeing on.
P-anon, because it's close to Q. P-L-O-N-O-P-Q.
Okay. Yeah.
We're just trying to
yeah,
coin
like,
here. Let us
I like
coin.
Pianon better. To be honest, I haven't like entertained Pianon Twitter that much because it's been hard to really dive deep into some of this stuff. I don't subscribe to conspiracy stuff in general. I just think the results are what the results were, and I accept them. Maybe I'm a fucking schmuck for that, but I eventually I will deep dive into it and just see what people are coming up with, because it is funny to not accept a loss, regardless of situation. Of if it's Eagles Chiefs, sports fans who don't accept a loss are pretty funny.
I was about to be one of those guys, actually. If you had gotten the ball
Chiefs
back.
and on, what would you guys have been?
I think fuck, that's
should have been a holding call. I guess that's the one thing.
Yeah.
Seeing on?
Yeah.
We got nothing.
And see, everybody can cry about like a hold call that was missed in the second quarter, but everybody would just brush you off. It had to be at that time in the game for some sort of validity. But okay, Patrick Mahomes' ankle. Can't wait to see you this weekend at the Oscars. That's nice. We got a little spoiler alert.
And in Snow Dogs too. Whenever they eventually do Snow Dogs too.
They've got to have done one.
Yeah.
Let's go on Disney Plus. It's probably in the bottom of the bag there somewhere.
Speaking of the bottom of the bag, Danny Solomon, do you have a letter?
I do, and I will grab from the bottom of the bag. Hey guys, this is Big Sports Media, the shadow conglomerate that deals out all the money and influence in the sports media landscape. Ooh. And I'm writing to say, like the show. It's not love yet, because you're still under 500 Twitter followers and your TikTok gets less engagement than a local math teacher's football analytics channel.
Oh, man.
But you've got something. Something about this show is working. You guys tightened up the program to a lean 1 hour 15. You bought real mics. Hey. And you get shockingly good guests all season long. So as a result, you doubled your listenership and got yourself some quality retweets along the way. And so we've decided that we will be picking up Sorry We Love Football's 5th year option.
Hey,
Let's go.
Come
we
on
back.
back.
Yes, sir.
Come on
Fucking
back
right,
and
man.
prove to us this upcoming year that you deserve the big contract. And fans of this show, keep listening. Don't stop for some reason. And help the guys out by telling everyone you know about this show any way you can. Don't force them to set up a Patreon. Boys, we're counting on you to keep this momentum going. 2023 is a make or break year. Don't blow it like James Bradbury did on that obvious hold.
There you
Signed,
go.
Big Sports Media. What great
Wow.
Ah,
news.
we
Been
alive.
waiting to hear from these guys, like for real, for a
Let's
couple years now.
go. Come on, man. I sent in our packet. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for that.
You-
And
Yeah,
most of the
and-
guest emails this season. Lots of
Yeah.
answered emails I did not expect.
And Big Sports Media, I'm glad we're on your radar at all. If nothing else, I don't know how else to champion this show, but I have one certainty about this show. We are the funniest football podcast. I challenge any other show. I really earnestly do. There may be other that have better this, that, or the other thing. I don't think there's a funnier show out there. So if there's somebody who's hearing this and thinks that there is one, send it our way, please.
Bro, and then we don't even just wait until we're in the same room again. We
Yeah,
haven't
for
done this show in the
real.
same room for years. I mean,
We haven't.
we'd have been the funniest podcast in the world if we all didn't live 30 minutes apart from each other.
Dan, I'm hoping that your funniest podcast in the world declaration doesn't turn into a JuJu tweet where everybody jumps on his ass. I mean, we're calling our shot here, and I agree. And, we're going to do everything we can. We're going to stay doing, the big moments during the off season. We're going to take that needed break that we all need, but stick with us for the next season. It's only going to get more and better and funnier. God help us. God willing, we can continue
Amen.
this fucking whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
Kind
And
of
just
right.
keep hanging out. We're gonna take a break. I mean, you probably need a break from football. So do we. It's football. It's too intense for 12 months.
Hey, we'll be back with free agency, with draft previews and reactions. There's plenty of football to go around. We just, like we said, it was a couple 5-month sprint or however long, and now we're going to take a well-deserved mini break. We'll be back with hot takes, funny takes, and like you said, the JuJu thing. Who are you going to challenge us with? The Pat McAfee show? Get the fuck out of here! What is the funny football show? There isn't one.
Because football's not funny, but we make it funny.
That's right.
Or die trying.
You understand?
And I'm sorry for next season when we sell out and we're on like the Ringers podcast network and you have to listen to 8 minutes of ads or some bullshit.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm sorry that we just went right over final thoughts. These are final thoughts
Oh,
of the season.
okay.
So this doesn't count as my sorry or yours.
I'm sorry that I skipped final thoughts.
I just want to throw out, I have a list. I have just just a machine gun. Final thought, the Eagles fans booed Dak winning Man of the Year. I thought that was very funny and kind of sad.
Tasteful.
Country singer anthems got redeemed, I think, a little bit. Most of the time, it's the snooze fest. This one was pretty good.
Nick Sirianni loved it.
Loves
really-
Chris Stapleton. God, how did we miss that? We didn't talk about that today.
That's a bad look, though. You can't be the crying at the anthem guy. Eagles Chiefs could be the season opener, by the way, boys. That's another one of these final thoughts. That could be interesting. I'm kind of not rooting for it. I'd rather it be somewhere later in the season. Belichick did this thing where he used to, whenever he was playing a white jersey team, he would use white gloves. Y'all should have done that. You might not have had that call against you because the glove. That's one of those minute things. And then finally, my final thought. of, I guess, the whole season, maybe this whole Chiefs run. Chad Henne, bon voyage. He retired right after the game. What a great career, man. Coming in the biggest of spots and performing, stealing money from all the other teams, but being somehow weirdly worth the 1 year, $4 million or whatever contract that you got every year to be Mahomes' backup. And you always did something. You are maybe the closing note of this entire season for me.
He got paid $30 million just to be prepared for that game.
I'll pay it gladly out of my own pocket and go $4 million in debt immediately.
You know, it's crazy you guys are talking salaries. I meant to bring this up earlier. That matchup of Mahomes Hurts, just monetarily, Mahomes is like making $500 million and Hurts is like making what we made it ridiculousness. It's like, what the hell is happening on this field right now? But my final thought is I'd like to leave everybody with a prediction. And I genuinely believe this. Rematch. I think next season, I unless something, barring injury, if these two teams stay relatively healthy, especially the quarterbacks, I see no reason why it can't be Chiefs Eagles next Super Bowl.
A hangover. So it's real,
the Eagles, but the Eagles core is young, and they're especially the offense. We're not losing anyone on offense. The defense will be a hodgepodge of bullshit, but who cares? This defense was a fraud, as we learned all along. As long as the offense is okay, we'll be okay.
You have a shot.
Rematch.
Well,
I want Mahomes.
Okay. Well, my final thought is I'm so glad this year is over because, I mean, I can't take you guys anymore. It's like the shows never end because you guys' teams are good. So there's always one more thing to say because both of your teams are good. I'm over it. Also, congratulations to Nick Sirianni for crying, and him crying having nothing to do with them losing. He didn't call a bad play. I mean, what? You could say that the defense was his fault, but that was the second half. He hadn't cried for hours. So, you know, that was a good look for him. I'm glad you like country music and it hit your soul. Also, NFL, move the Pro Bowl to after the Super Bowl, please. No one's going to watch it anyway, but at least if you do it this way, all of the freaks who are desperate for more football will have something to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's what the XFL is for.
That's what they're fucking promoting USFL and XFL. You got one more week. You could suck one more week out of us, man. People gambling on the Pro Bowl. Can you imagine?
Man, what a ride. What a season. I had a great time.
Me too.
I'm sorry that I'm ending this on a positive note, even though I should be fucking a mess of a person, but I'm sorry, but we will be back.
And I'm sorry, Jamel, that our teams won. It was great for us. Maybe next year.
Dude. No. Thanks for listening, everybody. Sorry that the season's over, but listen to every episode from this season like 10 times in a row. Peace.